This is the world we live in. You just heard a CFO pointing out to a CIO. The CIO would say, I can get you AI, but the CFO would say, kitna paisa lagega? That's the world we live in today. That's what we discuss with our customers, I believe, every day. And I think that's where we also need to educate people that there's something happening on AI. And I'm going to touch a very little bit on that piece, when we look at it today. So going forward on my presentation, and I saw this 2 months ago, and sometimes we believe staying at the bottom is going to help us. And that's what the graphic tells us here today, that if you look at the recession probability, since you come from the finance background, India is at 0% as of today. Now look at the contrast. My company is from Germany. That's where we are headquartered. And we are right at the top also, that we are going to have problems in Germany. But we are happy that probably that's not going to be India. That's where we are growing threefold in the last 3 years. That's what we have done for a living. Now, what does this mean? This also means that there's a lot of work which is coming our way. While probably companies are going to look at it differently in different regions, but when you look at it, how this is going to happen in India, I believe we have much more coming our way, and this is not going to be easy. And that's where I say it's time to look at spend management very, very differently. And probably the first thing I wanted to say is, we are managing transactions with our suppliers as of today. That's how we think, but we need to be more innovative with them. Can we develop more products, for example, in our own country? And that's the trend also which is going on. Or let's say from automating steps to connecting people, processes and systems. I am connected with you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Facebook and whatnot. What is your connection with your service providers, your suppliers, your travel and expense agencies? How do you connect with them? If you don't have a system where you're connecting with them as of today, then you're doing it very well personally, but professionally we have a huge void which has been created. So that's where the problem lies. From improving the processes within a company to optimizing process, and that's what we do best. We always talk about, can we do this better? And that's where I think the panel was discussing. We are doing a particular process in a certain way. Can AI make it better for us? And that's where the question is going to come from. Or let's say from environmentally, are we sensitive enough? So if I ask you today, how many trees did you save on your own, in your organization or personally? Probably I did print paper in my company today. Maybe I sent more emails. Maybe I could have ignored them. Or let's say if I'm buying too many goods with probably a cost of packaging which is involved as well, which is not recycled, or buying products which are not sustainable. That's how I am looking at it. Personally, am I adding to the ESG goal of myself, or let's say the organization is doing it for themselves? And finally, I think building a responsive workforce, and that's where I believe the bigger problem is getting answered. So the skill management is becoming a problem for all of us. Ask yourself, and if you're a CFO of an organization, ask yourself, if you want to hire somebody tomorrow in your company, where I would say we want you to actually come in, and if I'm a manufacturing company, I want you to buy packaging equipments for my organization. And if I go to the colleges, how many people do you think can do this job? Do we even know this? Or for that matter, even if I carry some sort of an experience and I'm trying to hire a permanent employee, or let's say probably a gig worker, which is the contractual labor, then also am I doing the requisite which is required by my organization? And therefore, when you look at all of this together, it goes beyond the boundaries of buying anything where you're spending in your organization. You can't now talk about only direct materials or indirect materials or workforce or your travel and expense, or we are talking about supply chain finance. It goes much beyond that. And when we talk about this, the important question which comes back from a lot of companies where they tell us, you know what, I have a fair enough system which does something, and this system is good enough for me to run my operations. And that's what we lose when it comes to having good enough systems and not probably the best in class. There are about $105 billion which was lost across the globe because the violation in travel policy was done or expense policy was done. Are we taking it seriously? There are about 20% of organizations who consider themselves that we are equipped enough to handle the supply chain crisis. Every 6 months almost in the last 5 years, we are having a supply chain shock. We saw the Brooklyn Bridge, which was pretty recent, a month ago. Do you know how much is the exposure to a insurance company because of that? It's $6 billion, one event. And consider that whole place is stopped for a while, and therefore ships cannot pass. Therefore, you can't have your material, and that's where the problem lies. There are about 44% of spend which is covered only by a formal spend category. If I ask you a question as a CFO today, how much target have you given, for example, to your procurement people to tell them in a particular category you have to give me 5% savings because I need to take care of my bottom line, my EBITDA. And if you have not done it, let me tell you, we are living by chance because that cost will continue to grow and we will not be able to sort it. Now, similarly, good enough systems are not going to help me because the world is more volatile than ever. And therefore, what this brings us to is the important theme, which is what are the red thread themes when we talk about in today's world, what are the red thread themes for the CXOs? Now, complete spend visibility is one of the important criteria. Let's ask a bank, if you come from a bank, let's ask a bank, how many peons, clerks, your miscellaneous work done in your bank branch, how many people do you employ? If there are 5,000 branches across the nation, and let's say we are going beyond the boundaries as well, you won't even know that as of today because there is no clear spend strategy on your contingent labor, and that's why we don't even know what kind of problem are we solving. Does the system tell you proactively you are going to overshoot on your travel budget this year because there are 3 events your company has organized and therefore you need to actually go for more budgets, and these 3 events were of course not planned for the year, and therefore the whole thing is going to shoot up. So are we having that complete spend visibility? Now, when we move to the digital transformation, and that's where what becomes more important is buying something in your organization. Is it as easy as when you buy this on Amazon or Flipkart? If you are a CFO, if you want to order something for yourself, you would know the plight of ordering something in your organization if you don't have the consumer grade experience, and that's where things are changing. Can I have a mobile app? If I want to buy something, I can actually order it from my mobile app, just like Amazon or Flipkart. Or getting on to the transparency and resiliency part of it, your ESG goals. Now, the BRSR mandate is out by Government of India, and by 2026, we like it, we don't like it, you can't trade on Nifty and Sensex if you are not giving your BRSR report out with your P&L report. And therefore, I want to ask you a question. If you ordered a particular item in your company as of today or a service, do you know how much carbon footprint that carries? If you took a flight from Delhi to Mumbai today, how much carbon footprint that carries? And if you do not know this, first you would need to know. Second, if you can't prepare a report out of it, then the Government of India is going to tell you that this is something you have to submit every quarter, mandatorily starting 2026, because India wants to be carbon neutral by 2070, right? So there's no choice. And therefore, I need to know what is my carbon footprint across my spend portfolio. You believe it or not, we are the largest polluting community on the face of earth when it comes to supply chain procurement, travel and expense, because we get everything inside the company or outside the company. And that's where we need to control this. Compliance. Very easy for me to say that I basically got a good deal with a supplier, but then am I buying at that price? If this is something which remains in your contract, but it is not getting implemented or executed, then there is no fun in actually negotiating that good contract, I would say. And therefore, compliance becomes very important. Cost containment right on top. How can I actually look at my shipments real time, traveling from one place to the other, and realize this is the longest route I am taking, and therefore I am losing money? Can I optimize? And that's the question. And finally, internal experience, which is even more important. I can give you a gadget, but let me tell you, if you don't like how to operate this, you're not going to use this anymore. And therefore, that becomes a bigger problem. It's very easy for me to buy technology, but can I adopt it well, or can I give a good user experience back to my internal customers? Which brings me to the important point of looking at how we are reeling under pressure, and not only us, I think every department, every industry, because the global population is on a decline. And people did mention just before my session in the panel that I can have a big report on AI, but maybe it doesn't work. Or maybe, you know what, AI is going to eat up my job. Or let's say AI is something which is still getting matured. Let me tell you, it is inevitable. The moment the global population is going to go down, you have no other option but to go for automation. And therefore, that's going to happen, which brings me to the important topic of AI. And if you look at it, what Hackett Group is saying is the top strategic focus for businesses in the next 1 to 3 years is AI and digital capabilities. Let us ask yourself a question. Can you predict and tell me if your top 20 suppliers in your organization have not filed for bankruptcy? Do you know this today? Can you tell me if somebody in your supplier community have done child labor in America and they are facing a lawsuit? Or can you tell me if a supplier is actually having a shipment which is coming from place 1 to place 2, but it is stuck now because of a hurricane? If I don't have these visibilities, then of course my supply chain is under danger. So can I deploy AI, which basically gives me the advantage over others, whether it is competition or probably getting there first in the market? And because I come from a technology background and I represent SAP, it would not be good of me to tell you that we do all of this, right? And which brings me to the more important way of looking at it is this is how we have defined spend management. So we are talking about all spend under one umbrella. I can give you a platform which can manage 100% of your spend, whether it is related to employees, which is travel and expense and invoice, or it is related to your material or your services, or you're talking about your contingent labor, under one roof, consolidated, which is very well connected with your suppliers, your travel partners, your consultants, your media partners, your advertising agencies, your material providers, your services agencies, via something which is called as the SAP Business Network. And by the way, that's the largest P2B network in the world. If you want to put things into perspective, we do $5.1 trillion of commerce on SAP Business Network every year. If you want to put this further into perspective, that is equal to India and Australia's GDP combined. If you still don't like it, that is 2 times of Amazon plus Alibaba plus eBay combined. That is how much we are doing. And India, by the way, is the fastest growing when it comes to SAP Business Network. We have grown this by 3 times in the last 3 years. So that's what we do best. your UX basically reimagine in-depth integration and AI, and that is evident. That will be there. You will not be able to stop it. And it is important that I tell you how we visit or how we view AI, and that's the North Star vision of end-to-end spend management, what we have drawn for our customers. So it starts, of course, with the gamut of complete spend under one umbrella, powered by SAP's offering on AI, which is called Joule, which is the underneath layer. And then on the right hand side, on my left hand side, your right hand side, you would see all your trading partners getting connected with this. And on the left hand side, for me, all your services or direct indirect materials. Now I want to make probably one last point, and the panel was discussing, is AI real? Is this here to stay? Is this going to eat up my job? Maybe we are writing too much, but AI is not giving us that benefit. Is it giving me 100% correct results? I think all of these questions which was raised by the panel, and I want to tell you that this is real because we have delivered this. I'm happy to tell you today that SAP has given almost 150 use cases on AI just on spend management globally. There are 50 customers in India right now which are running something or the other on AI, and I want to pick up an example very quickly, which is somebody mentioned ChatGPT. We don't write job descriptions anymore. Our system does it for us. If you want to hire tomorrow a person which you would have hired in your organization sometime, the system can actually write the job description and give me a job description. And I'm going to use that, send it out, get the required CVs, and let me tell you, let's say there are 5,000 people who have applied for 10 jobs in my organization. You tell me, how will you find 5 relevant people? I can find it on the click of a button. The system is going to give that to me depending upon the job profile which has been created. Or for that matter, if you are traveling and if you say I need to go to a particular place where there is a conference, and then I am looking for a hotel which is near to a hospital because I'm not well, and maybe a chemist, and it should have another 20-seater room inside the hotel because I have my team traveling with me, I don't plan for it anymore. I just give all this requirement in the system, and the system will tell me, you're going to Frankfurt, there are 2 airports. Maybe you choose this airport because this is very near to your conference center. By the way, there are 5 hotels based on what you're looking for. And out of these 5 hotels, probably 3 are best fitted for you because they have a hospital which is just a half a mile away from your hotel. And that is what we are delivering to our customers as of today. This is AI. This is what we have done for our customers. If you are a buyer in your organization, even if you are a CFO, and you continue to buy something similar or same every now and then, you tell me, why are you raising a purchase request once again? It's criminal. So we have stopped it. The system will actually look at your behavior, and system will create the purchase requisition for you. And by the way, if you're doing your 3-way match or supply chain finance to your suppliers in your system, that behavior will also be taken up by the system, and the system will suggest this is how you should do it. And that's where I say AI is real, it's inevitable, it is going to stay with us. So let's not be afraid of it, but let's imbibe this, and we are there to help you. I think that was my time, and I would say thank you very much. And these are 3 key takeaways I would leave for you, pretty much self-explanatory, but I think real-time spend visibility, compliance, working capital management becomes important from a CFO perspective. Sustainability does matter to you, to your customers. So let's pay more focus, and of course technology is an aid to get you there where you want to be. So thank you very much. Thank you for the time.